In the last video, we ended at Cumberland Sandbanks. We start this video on the opposite side of the sandbank at Geyikli Beach, where the ferry leaves for Bozcaada. The large and very long pier was built in the 1990s, and it juts right out into the sea, enabling the car ferries to board traffic that has travelled along the concrete roadway and away from the shallow waters of the beach. Geyikli Beach is a long sandy blue flag beach which can get very popular in peak season. The island you see across the water is Bozcaada, a very popular destination with local tourists from Izmir and Istanbul. If you check our channel, you'll see a separate video for this. The town of Geyikli is set back from the coast but linked by a good road to the ferry pier. Traditionally this is an agricultural area, and the town itself has a population of around 3,000, but this rises dramatically in the summer months when families with holiday villas arrive en masse during the public and school holiday season. The town gets its name from Geyikli Baba, Geyik meaning deer and Baba meaning father, in other words, father of deer. A man who was a dervish who raised deer here in the 14th century as the Ottoman Empire was expanding. Today it's quite well known as the location used for a famous Turkish film, Eva Eva. Again we see evidence of old First World War defences. Structures like this are very common along this coastline. There is also a coastal road which takes you to the old Geyikli Pier, or more correctly, Wood Harbour. In Turkish it's called Odunluk İskelesi. This is now a place where fishing boats frequent the now concrete jetty. However, the main attraction these days is the beach area with its cafe, bars and restaurants. Most of the restaurants here serve fish, but be careful to check the prices first. There are some old stone buildings near the pier which date back to when this was a local port area. Oak nuts were a valuable export product used for dye production before the chemical industry came up with synthetic dyes. You can still see oak trees growing wild in this area. They're smaller than the European oak trees, but get up close to one and you'll see that it's instantly recognisable as an oak tree. The acorns were used to make dye. When this trade ceased, many of the oak forests in the area were quickly felled and used to produce charcoal. This left a very damaged landscape, but thankfully the commencement and the mass planting of olive trees rectified this, and the olive groves and olives are a major industry and source of income for farmers in this region today. Geyikli is also a tourist resort with guest houses and hotels along the coast road. Some of the cafe restaurants along this route are interesting, with magnificent sea views and access to some good sandy beaches. Moving southwards down the coast road, we reach the small fishing village of Dalyan. The marina here provides shelter for fishing boats and pleasure craft. There are some restaurants and coffee houses. There's also a good sandy beach. Dalyan is very close to Alexandra Troas, an archaeological site of significant importance which we deal with in a separate video, but it's not part of that settlement. This is a different location in its own right and may have served Alexandra Troas as a port at some stage. If you walk along the coast by the beach, there is evidence of an old harbour area. Stones from what would once have been large structures can be seen littered around and sticking out of the sea. Marble stonework both in the sea and on land stretches for a long section of this beach. Moving away from Dalyan village, we stop short of arriving at Alexandra Troas, and we take and turn along a dirt road signposted by a blue and white sign saying Altın Güneş Sitesi. Due to the secluded nature of this part of the coastline, it's also popular for refugees who beach their craft and disappear into the general population. Most of the refugee boats are small dinghies or rubber rafts, but there are more substantial vessels, such as the one shown here, beached on a sandbank and abandoned. The next time you hear someone from Europe saying that the Muslim countries need to take more refugees from Syria, then please don't forget Turkey takes more refugees than any other country. Perhaps I should say takes more refugees from Syria than any other country. There are over 3.5 million Syrian refugees here, and they're all provided with shelter, food, medical services and education. The coastal track ends up at a large white sandy cove near Tavaklı. We join the main road here and move on to Tavaklı Iskelesi, or Tavaklı Pier, once a small port and customs area for acorns, pretty much a smaller version of what would have existed at Geyikli. Tavaklı has some really good beaches. It is unspoiled by mass tourism and dominated by holiday villages for local tourists, mainly from Istanbul. And when I say holiday villages, I mean siteler, or sites which have villas and private residences. There are a lot of videos on our channel of Tavaklı and the surrounding area. The website for Tavaklı is www.tavaklı.net, which is in English and Turkish. The coast road out of Tavaklı moves inland, and we pass through the village of Kısadere, Babadere and Tuzla with its hot springs and salt deposits. Just before you enter Gülpınar, there is a half-dirt, half-tarmac road by the petrol station. If you turn right, it will take you to a small fishing harbour at Gülpınar Harbour, or Kumbarlar Harbour. Now on to Gülpınar, a small town with a busy high street and close to the coast. Here the main road continues to Assos or Behramkale, and a one-way coast road takes us to Babakale with its small harbour and castle. Both of these are the subject of our next video. Whilst you are in Gülpınar, why not check out the Windmill Cafe on the top of the hill, where you can get a view of the coastline stretching back to Tavaklı. Gülpınar has been made famous for its association with the nearby historical site of Apollo Sminthean. The Temple of Apollo, mentioned in Homer's epic The Iliad, is located on the outskirts of the town, and it is well signposted. Why not check out our other video that deals with Apollo Sminthean?